what's coming out of all of these hearings and all of these investigations is that the problem is much, much larger than anyone expected.
Yes, yes.
So I wanted to take a step back and look at it long term. Ano kaya yung impact nito on our growth targets, on our economy, on potential foreign investor sentiment?
Okay, so our GDP has grown by, let's talk economics, right? 5.5%, and our potential growth or equilibrium growth is around 6.2%. So that means even though we are the fastest growing economy in East Asia, we're still growing lower than our capability. And that's the puzzle that we're trying to look at. Why aren't we growing, but why aren't we growing fast enough? And as scientists, we are reluctant to say that it's easy to blame on corruption, because we have to have data. But now it's out there at the open. It's
so
corruption.
now you have the numbers for it.
Yeah, I have something. There's the narrative that says it's out there. So that's the reason why we're not growing. I think, as we should be doing at 6.2%. But we also have to be careful, because if it's just corruption, why is it just now? Because it's just 4 quarters of negative output gap. That means, why was it growing faster than usual before? Are we saying that there was no corruption before this administration?
Exactly.
So,
which is improbable.
Which is improbable also. So we have to be careful. And then we have to balance it out. We have to remember what happened in 2011, when President Aquino was elected as president. The economy was growing by 8% per year. And then he halted all these projects, insuspicious, that rightfully so, suspecting that many of the contracts, government projects that were signed before, were anomalous. And what happened to the economy after a year? The economy slowed down to 3% per year. So yes, there is corruption, but there has to be a balance here. We have to stop some of these anomalous projects, but some of the projects that we don't hear are probably clean. And we should be more discriminate about. We should discriminate that some are probably clean and some are anomalous.
But the fact that there was so much pork, there was so much fat found in the 2025 budget. How concerning was that? So now we're finding out there were billions in insertions, potentially even to the tune of hundreds of billions. Because remember, at one point during the budget process, it exceeded DepEd. Umabot siya ng 1.007 trillion, if I remember correctly, which was constitutionally, illegal, right? For DPWH to have a bigger budget than DepEd. Of course, it was taken down later on after several more rounds. But now we're seeing where a lot of that money went. So how big of a concern is that in terms of the planning for the economy?
Well, the GAA, the General Appropriations Act book, was this thick, right? So, I'm sorry.
7,000 pages, yeah.
Yes. But that's not an excuse. We have enough employees in government. There is such thing as a line item veto, that they can look if these things were not there originally, that they were inserted. And there's no excuse. You can always look. I know it's 7,000. It's 7,000. That's too much for me. But it's not too much for a whole department looking at these budgets.
Correct.
So they could have looked at that. So it's lesson learned, hopefully, that they have to look at that some things are inserted that should not have been there.
Actually, that was one of the questions in my head. Whose responsibility was it? Because, okay, so it starts out with the executive branch, with the NEP. They submit it to Congress, and Congress deliberates it, first through the committees and then during the plenary, and then Congress gives it to the Senate, and then they do their own deliberations and so on and so forth, and then it gets reconciled by the BICAM, and then we also found out that there was also a small committee in the lower house that does all of some of these realignments. But to your point about yung line-by-line checking, whose responsibility ultimately is it?
Well, the only people who know what's the original is the people who originally submitted it from the executive department. And so when it comes back, they should know, which I know it's 7,000 pages, but for a big department, they can always hire even more people to check which ones are inserted. Uh, if President, no, no, sorry, if Senator Lacson is able to look at it line by line, which ones are probably inserted, then why not a whole department in the executive department? They should be able to do that. And again, I guess it's lesson learned. They should be able to do that.
If, let's say, DBM, okay, so DBM is, I know that is one of the ones that's tasked to put together the budget,
Yes.
to make the agencies go to them and pitch their proposals, right, and so on and so forth. Do they actually have the power to question what is being asked for?
No.
Or is it primarily, or are they primarily administrative?
They could just highlight the fact that these are inserted, and the president has the power to do line item veto.
Okay.
It just, again, it's for the president, that's too much, the 7,000. But there are people who can flag to the president which ones are inserted. And from that, the president has the power to line item veto which ones should not be part of it.
Which he did in the last budget in 2024. He said they were able to veto at least 26 billion pesos from the budget. They said they ran out of time. They wanted to veto more. So in the end, yung iba naging conditional releases na lang.
So again, I don't want to say anything because we have to be disciplined with data, but from what we're seeing, these disheartening things that we see, 2025 including, apparently it's not enough. Some got through the net.
So ultimately, are we saying that the executive has very much the responsibility in terms of line-by-line veto and also the accountability here?
They should be able to, but again, harder said than done. But what are you going to do? If the Congress inserts some things, you have to check it out. That some things should not have been there from the beginning.
Prof, I wanted to take a step back. So let's look at the broader economy. What else is there to look forward to? I mean, what are the bright spots? Because, I mean, as in news, obviously, not obviously, but we do tend to look at the negative headlines sometimes. So you've got this corruption probe, you've got the tariff still, hanging over a lot of the export sector. What is there to look forward to? What's a bright spot?
Okay. Yes, I come here as a resource person, supposedly knowing all the answers. But there is a puzzle out there that we want to find out, and that puzzle is a positive. And that positive is the W8. What's the W8? The OFW remittance is increasing by only 3% per year. Yet net factor income from abroad is increasing double digits. That means the dollars that's coming in, it's no longer OFW driven. And we're trying to what's going on there? This is what we're trying, and we suspect it's the W8. What's the W8? The content creators, once they have 1,000 likes, they have to file what is referred to as a W8 form in the United States.
Okay.
Which means dollars might be coming in because of these content creators, this remote intelligence people working for abroad. They don't have to go to the US or they don't have to be an OFW. They're based here. They're doing computer work, programming, and sometimes they're doing artwork, content creation. And that's the one where how much is that? And I think that could be the puzzle.
So it is a growing industry. I just didn't realize they're such a big driver now of the economy.
It potentially
all
is.
These virtual assistants, these influencers, content creators, and so on and so forth that are working remotely for American and other Western companies,
yes.
right?
And I say it's W8 because they have to file the W8 form. It's a federal requirement.
Yeah.
So that they don't have to pay tax, or it's a requirement for small businesses in the U.S. And I would guess also in Europe, they also have separate forms so that they can file it as a cost.
Yeah. But now the DOF wants to tax them.
Yes, I think
Oh, they are
don't
being
have,
taxed already.
they don't have the numbers yet.
Okay.
But the fact that they're doing that, they already see something, a new phenomenon that's going on.
Yeah.
That, look at this. This is a growing thing. There's something going on here. So there you go.
You kicked off by talking about 8% growth figures in the Aquino administration, in the Pinoy administration, which at the moment sounds really lofty, right? But once upon a time, when we met for Bloomberg TV, the average was 6%, and now we're 5.5, 5.4.
Yes.
What is your overall forecast for the rest of the year and the trajectory moving forward?
It's going to drag to 5.6%. So it's slowly going back to the normal, but it's going to be a drag. It's supposed to go back quickly to 6.2, but the way it's going, the numbers say it's just too much. We're supposed to go back to 6.2, but
parang hirap.
until next year,
Yeah.
the soonest.
So there's going to be a bit of a drag before we even possibly get there.
Yes.
But surely you got to be happy about the inflation numbers. I mean, they're well below target already.
And that's because of the rice. The oil so far is still year on year is the global price of oil is still on the negatives so it's now $71 per barrel. It was $77 per barrel a year before. So it's still on the downtrend. Price of rice, it's still going down, double digit deflation.
So can we chalk that up as a win for the Markets Administration? Have they done well in that regard?
Yes, part of it, yes, because a lot of it it's global forces, and some of it has to do with policies, of course. But then again, we don't know because this just September 1, the president halted, I think, the imports of rice. So that can reverse course in a few months. So the three driving forces is the price of oil is still down. Housing rents is slowly increasing. It's 1%, 2%. So that's good. And so I said oil and then rice.
Yeah.
And rice could reverse soon.
Because of the directive to end imports.
Yes.
So we'll see how that plays out.
And our CPI is composed of 55 goods and services, and these are the top three in terms of weight, and they're all on the deflationary side.
So for the rest of the year, we're safe, essentially.
In terms of inflation.
Except for the rice prices at this point. The question over rice prices. Okay, we will leave the conversation there. We've run out of time. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for coming to the studio.
Thank you.
Professor Luis Dumlao from the Ateneo de Manila University, also an economist.